Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 90th webinar as part of Saturday webinar series by National Institute of Agriculture Extension Management, Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship is an incubator set up at National Institute of Agriculture Extension Management, one of the leading agribusiness incubators in India, who supported and mentored more than 450 startups and agripreneurs. So incubated 289 Agri-Startups under RKVY-RAFTAAR. The Saturday webinar series has been is being conducted by Manage CIA to create awareness about various business opportunities, challenges in agri ecosystem. Today we are going to talk about future of agri startups in organic products and source traceability platforms. So we are here with us two speakers today. We'll be starting with Mr. Anand Vemula, who is the co-founder of Fresh and Desi Organic Farms. So we welcome Mr. Anand Vemula to share his insights on the importance of organic farming, how these startups opportunities are going to get affected, how they can utilize it as a business opportunity. With this note, we welcome Anand sir. Please, sir.
Hey, good morning, everyone. As I was introduced, my name is Anand Vemula. I'm a software professional and a passionate farmer. I'm a hands-on farmer and a farmer trainer. So my primary goal is to take the organic farming to the masses. And I've been into this almost like 2010 is when we initiated, and slowly but steadily, I'm marching towards my goal. Currently, at this moment, I am on a mission mode until 2024 to train my village as well as a couple of my neighborhood villages on to completely adopt organic farming at the village level. That's in brief about myself. Now, the topic for today is the role of agri startups in organic products. So I'll focus specifically on organic products, but in general, startups on the farming side, we can classify them into multiple small sectors, like on the input side, it can be seeds, or it can be engineering related startups. It can be even the fintech related, like financial supplies, and supporting the farmers and farmer groups in that. But that's on the input side. So these are also called non-farming areas, like before the farming. Then on the farming side, we have got we can broadly classify the opportunities into pre-harvest and post-harvest. Pre-harvest is the role or opportunities that we can support the farmers and farmer groups during the farming timelines, like from soil preparation until harvest. That's one area. And the next is post-harvest. Post-harvest, when I say the moment something is harvested, like rice or fruits, they have to be they have to be managed in a professional way, which the current farming industry as such in general, but organic farming in particular has a big challenge too. For example, most of the agri products are perishable in general, unless the agri products are processed, they are perishable in nature. That means their shelf life will be limited. It can be from the shelf life ranges from hours to days to months, depending on the type of a specific product. So others, I do not specifically classify other type of organic, health groups or startups are very specific for organic. Post-harvest technology is completely on the organic side because we are dealing with an organic product or a certified organic product per se, that will have to be taken to the target community or the target buyer without getting into any non-organic complexity as we have it today. So traceability part, I think, will be addressed by the co-panelist. So I will limit myself to the post-harvest organic value chain. And this is where the organic community lacks. So lacking in the sense, there are lack of skills, lack of education, lack of awareness, lack of money, lack of technology. These are the broad areas that any organic farmer or a farmer group suffers. For example, I myself suffer with most of these challenges. For example, if we grow vegetables, their shelf life is, for half a day to couple of days, most of them. That means within these within the 6 hours to 2 days, they have to be shipped to the end customer. So this is a logistics end-to-end connectivity or a last mile connectivity challenge. Second is not everything is consumed in the organic format, a raw product format. That is, raw product is one of the big challenge in my view, where raw product as such doesn't offer a fairly long shelf life. So when we say raw product, it is the raw produce that we harvest from the farm. For example, rice. The raw product is the immediate product that we harvest from the rice plantation. And cooking is not done on the rice. Rather, we have to remove the husk, and then the rice is transformed into a cookable rice that can be boiled, that can be cooked, that can be edible. Whereas fruits, some of them can be consumed directly, some of them can't be. So post-harvest technology is one of the big challenge that most of the farmers don't have. First of all, they don't even have the awareness, and then because of the perishability, they land in the hands of middlemen or the panic selling. That's where the farmers incur significant losses. They will be compelled to sell within the short time, like harvest and then sell it to somebody within a few hours. That's one thing. So this is one of the challenge that most of the farmers have. So a startup in the sense like a group of people with an institutional objective can come together and take up some of these challenges to create a comfortable win-win platform where the farmers will be helpful. So farmers will get some help because of the technology, because of the skill help, or because of the financial help, or because of the market linkage. At the same time, consumer also can be guaranteed that, okay, this produce is coming from so-and-so farmer, and there are not much, nothing much suspicious in this. So traceability is the other subject probably that can be discussed in detail. But one of the big challenge that we face on a daily basis with the consumers, though I'm a farmer, I also deal with hundreds of consumers for our produce. One of the big challenge on the consumer side is lack of guarantee or lack of confidence that whatever a produce is I mean, it is traced to a certain farm, and a guarantee that there is no manipulation done while en route. This is one of the big questions that we were asked on a daily basis. Be it milk, be it vegetables, be it rice, be it processing. This question is asked on a daily basis. So a startup or so now we have got, I mean, if I understand correctly, a value chain market is not even 1% of the overall agri business at this moment, and especially on the organic side, it is insignificant. That means there is no limit for the for the organic startups to play a role, simply because not many exist in that area. And even if there exist, even if some of the value chain or startups exist, they are not well linked. They are not well, what you say, they are not horizontally linked so that they can manage things without, what do you say, I'm lacking the exact vocabulary, how, I mean, what exactly I mean, but they're not related. So for example, if a market linkage is worked out by a small group, they deal with only the market linkage part, they bother about nothing. Whereas if they can be linked to a value chain organization or a value chain firm, then the scope of the B2C can be enhanced significantly. When I say value chain, I mean converting the raw produce into edible produce. You can take the example of rice is one of the main example, or you can take wheat to wheat flour, or oil seeds to consumable oil, or edible oil, or fruits into fruit products having significantly longer shelf life. It can be as simple as a tomato sauce or a tomato ketchup. So a tomato has got a shelf life of not more than 2 days or 3 days. Tomato ketchup has got a shelf life of, let's say, 6 months. So these are so post-harvest is one of the big area where, I mean, tens of hundreds of organic startups can play a role. But the success of those organic startups will be directly linked to their ability to connect with the B2C chains, or their ability to reach out to the end consumer with the help of another startup. It can be any other chain. It can be as simple as Amazon, or it can be Swiggy, right? So one of the biggest challenge that the farmers face on the organic side, and this is something that we want to solve this on a daily basis. Like we educate tens of farmers or hundreds of farmers on a yearly basis. But the first question that we face is, whom do we sell? What do we do with my produce? Because now I get 5 tons of tomato. What is the linkage? So market linkage, post-harvest, and post-harvest technology. So post-harvest, we can broadly classify them into two. One is the post-harvest technology where value addition can be done. Second is the cold storage kind of storage locations where even the raw produce, the shelf life of even the raw produce can be extended significantly. It can be as simple as just washing and cleaning the dirt, let's say vegetables, for example. If you take vegetables, okay, I'm more stressing on vegetables simply because I deal with them on a daily basis. Okay, fruits and vegetables is something that we deal with on a daily basis. So if we take vegetables, the shelf life of a raw vegetable versus a cleaned vegetable, okay, is almost a cleaned vegetable will have 3 times more shelf life than a raw vegetable, simply because of the microbial presence on the surface of the vegetables. So if they can be cleaned, washed, and dry and dewatered and packed, then the shelf life of most of these vegetables can be enhanced from 2 days, 3 days to a week or 10 days. This is what we usually see from a professional chains, where if we order a tomato or a tomato on a certain unit, we will get a completely sealed uh, and wrapped tomato as a small package. Now that tomato will have significantly almost 3 times longer shelf life than a normal tomato. But what farmer lacks is grading. This is one cleaning and process cleaning and packing is the simplest form of value addition that we can think of. And this is where, I mean, not many of them, even on the non-organic side, not many of them are really helping the farmers. So farmers will be compelled to take them to the nearest market, and the nearest market tries to sell them uh, to the end consumer within few hours. By the time they reach the market, and even they are compelled. So what happens? One of the biggest loss to all these connected groups is, be it farmers, be it the sellers, is the wastage. For example, at the end of grading, farmer will incur, and on an average, a farmer will incur a wastage. A wastage, I mean, a non-sellable product, a product that may not be accepted by the consumer, is sometimes 15% to sometimes 30%, 40% during the rainy seasons, or depending on the seasons. Now, from here it goes to the market. The market will also lose about 15 to 20%. So from the morning or from the time of harvest until the evening, or by the time it reaches the consumer, the loss is as high as 30 to 40% on a daily basis to the very highly perishable consumables like vegetables. Now, a simple grading, cleaning, and packing at the village level, if not the village level, a cluster of villages, can reduce this wastage by almost like 60% to 70% of the 40% that I'm talking about. That means we can reduce the overall wastage in this chain by about 60 to 70%. So when I say 40% is a wastage on a daily basis, we can bring that down to less than 8% from a farm to consumer without doing a significant value addition. Sir, please let me know when the time comes. I will be continuing. Just let me know.
Take 2 more minutes, sir. No issues. We can conclude.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, so this is the most crude form of help that a startup can play. But if a startup can play a role in this area, they will have a secondary benefit. The secondary benefit is because they help in this perishable produce. The same product can be or many of such perishable produce, a significant part of it can be diverted to transformation, where we can bring in value added products from the same produce that got otherwise wasted. Now, this will actually increase the value of the produce by, it will simply triple the value of the raw produce. For example, if we take a average tomato produce, an average price of a tomato is about 3 rupees, 2 rupees to 3 rupees that goes to the farmer. Now, so imagine the value of tomato ketchup and compare it, right? That will be somewhere around 300 to 400 rupees per kg basis, right? So lack of time and blame me for incomplete preparedness. So two main things, me as a farmer, I see that a startup can play, or a number of startups can play, is the initial value addition, like cleaning, grading, packaging. That's one. And then the value added products. It can be creating or preparing edible oil from oil seeds. It can be anything. The shelf life can be increased by 6 months, anywhere between 3 months to 6 months. Now, this is where not many people or not many firms exist, and people lack skills, people lack technology, people lack awareness, and people lack money. And a startup, a well-educated and well-funded, if not funded, and a startup with a decent objective, with social objective, can play a phenomenal role, which cannot be compared to any other. And this is more important in the organic field, because unlike the conventional belief that the normal consumer has, most of the consumers believe that organic produce lasts almost 4 or 5 times longer than a conventional produce. That is actually factually incorrect. Organic produce will perish or will survive only half of the shelf life of a normal a conventional produce, simply because it is liked by even microbes, whereas a chemical farming produce can last little longer, much longer, because of the effects of the chemicals that were used during the growing process. So I'll stop here. Probably I can answer any of the questions. And thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Probably I'm not quite sure how far this was useful, but I can take any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Just to reconfirm, we'll taking question at 11:40, sir. Once Yatish are also completed. Thank you very much for covering at ground level realities, how organic farming can offer opportunities for the startups at various levels, especially with minimal interventions and minimal budget. Thank you very much, sir. We'll get back to an question and answer. With this note, we will welcome our second speaker for today. Yatish sir is management professional with 25 years of experience across multiple verticals. He's worked in various companies. Talks about his major area covers agri-tech, traceability, farm digitization, and intelligent supply chain. His stint involves in the last 25 years covered in startups, various corporate companies, including the latest one, OPTL Group, sir. He worked in Cropin also earlier. So with this note, we welcome you, sir. Please, sir, hand it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. So good afternoon, good morning, all. So I'll just briefly give a brief introduction. So I'm Yatish Tubgare. I'm the account director for APAC region from Optel Group. So, Optel Group is, we are the #1 global supplier for track and trace solutions, a certified B corporation, having over 23.8% of market share for track and trace globally. And of course, we have also the winner. We are one of the winners for excellence in digital disruption 2020, which was bestowed by World Economic Forum. So Optel has got, we have our headquarters in Canada and other 4 facilities in Brazil, Europe, and again in Germany also we have. And for Asia Pacific, we have it here in India, which a facility in Goa. And our playground, like we are present in multiple domains, like life sciences, which is our one of the major revenue generators, food and beverages, natural resources, agrochemicals, and environmental. So supply chain digitization is our forte, and with traceability. So today I'm going to just speak about like what is the relevance of traceability in food supply, food value chain. I'll start with an introduction to that global scenario. So then I'll explain about traceability, and of course I'll give some use cases where we have done it for some of the organization, traceability for their entire value chain. So to start with, so globalization of food production and distribution is resulting in increased complexity in managing food safety concerns. This has led to frequent food alerts and consequent major food recalls, deeply impacting consumer confidence and inviting increased regulatory oversight and stipulation of stringent requirements for food businesses. So consumers today are also a lot more conscious of their health and wellness and are demanding information of food freshness, storage, transportation conditions, food additives, etc., etc. So this places an added responsibility on food businesses for providing ready access to the trusted product information to consumers on food safety. So an essential requirement under food safety is the need of for implementing farm to fork traceability, which facilitates preventive and remedial measures to be undertaken in food safety regimes. So this is also mandatory by FSS, called which is nothing but Food Recall Procedure Regulation 2017 for food businesses in India. So the existing consumer expectations concerning food authenticity and traceability have made them increasingly interested in food labels, such as the signs of origin, which we call it as a protected geographical indication, or PGI. And then we have protected designation of origin, or PDO, and agricultural labels, which is like traditional specialities, guaranteed, or also shortly called as TSG, and organic labels, of course, because they are considered as guarantee of quality and safety. So however, despite the strict regulations and controls realized on these types of products, they may be subject to frauds. In addition, the excessive media exposure of various food crises over the past few years have led consumers to be more focused on what they eat. Food traceability and food authenticity have thus become major challenges for inspection bodies, food industries, and scientific community. So many studies in the recent years have been conducted around these two concepts, with the developments of new tools that mainly use the physical, chemical, and molecular biology fields. So it is majorly done in UK. And also food authenticity is in line with the current expectations of consumers for natural and local products. So industrialization and globalization have made the authentication of foods particularly difficult, given the fact that a large part of the food products available in the market are transformed and therefore more susceptible to falsification. So in addition, frauds are constantly involved to bypass controls and thus rendering them more difficult to detect by classical analysis. So these concerns have become major not only for consumers but also for producers, distributors, and authorities. These illicit activities involved not only significant economic losses worldwide, but also affect the confidence of consumers who call into question the credibility of food labels. So it is necessary to develop advanced analytical methods to detect non-compliant products, notably false organic products, which are among commodities the most subjected to fraud in the world. Organic farming is a method, as you all know, it is a method of sustainable production, which contributes to the environmental and animal protection by a set of specific agricultural practices. So the label organic, like other official labels such as TSG, PDO, or PGI, attest to the quality of a product product. So indeed, it is subjected to specific regulations whose applications are controlled by certifying bodies agreed by public authorities. So these specifications are different from one country to the other. So food safety and foodborne illness are at the farm level being a growing global concern. Efficient traceability solutions are now essential for produce manufacturers. So the consumer packaged goods, especially food and beverage industries, are under mounting pressure to reduce the environmental impact, carbon footprint, and waste, and to provide more sustainable, reasonable sourced products to an ever more informed, empowered, and demanding consumers. So, and what is the imperative? As per the upcoming legislation, including the US FDA's Food Safety Modernization Act, which is shortly called as FSMA, that goes into effect on January 6, 2025, means F&B businesses will need to comply with new traceability rules to prove compliance and successfully undergo third-party audits. So by November 2022, the US FDA's FSMA proposed rule to achieve farm to fork traceability in food system will come into effect. Under section of 204 of the FSMA, high risk foods named in the food traceability list, either as complete food products or as ingredients that make up other products, will be subjected to enhanced traceability requirements. So it is not only about the finished product, even the ingredients which are involved in producing that particular finished products will also be subjected to the enhanced traceabilities, right? So about now coming to the point of traceability. So traceability is a modern concept that allows following a product's route from raw materials to the consumer stage, taking into considerations its complete flow by means of identifying and tracking procedures and documents. By tracking procedures and documents. So recently, food traceability has gained significant importance as it allows efficient identification, correction, or removal of risk factors throughout the food chain to deliver only safe and quality food products. So the trade scenario. So coming to the trade scenario with respect to organic products. So organic for food consumptions in India has remained below $1 billion. So out of about $500 billion of food consumed all across the country. And we continue to be insignificant player in the world organic trade. So which is just exporting about hardly $1 billion. Overall worldwide consumption, if you take it, is more than $220 billion of organic food. So one fundamental reason of low penetration despite high demand is the lack of trust between the consumer and the producer on authenticity of the organic claim, for which consumer pays a premium. So traceability solutions can plug this trust gap through documented certification and drive organic consumption in India as well as exports. So coming to supply chain. So India exported about $41 billion of worth of food products in FY21, a jump of 17% from previous financial year on the back of increase in demand during the pandemic times. India can consolidate its position in the world market by increasing its share of about from about 3% in the world trade to about 7% uh, to achieve our $100 billion worth of export as set by the government, target set by the government. This can happen by increasing our share in strategic categories like rice, tea, spices, and adding new products. So last year, India exported mainly for the first time in a sizable volumes, including Himalayan millets, jaggery powder, red rice, then some fruits like jamun, then black rice, lychee, jackfruit, etc. Having said that, Indian exports are facing more scrutiny than ever before. EU has already banned imports of products with the traces of insecticides like tricyclozole. Then we have buprofezin, and which are commonly used in basmati rice cultivation. So government has banned use of these molecules and made the inspection of export consignments mandatory to check for residual levels. This is where traceability solutions become important, which can give information on critical criteria like pesticides used, residual levels, etc., etc., and all, of course, the package of practices, then certification of with respect to organics, all the stuff. So India can be proactive by implementing these solutions across all key export linked supply chains, not just for basmati rice, but for all other products also. So objectives of what are the objectives of traceability? So the main purpose of traceability development is to increase security and safety throughout the food chain and to establish an acceptable model of for raw material supply, for raw material supply, food production, marketing, and consumption. So traceability systems are likely to detect raw materials or products, identifying them downstream as well as upstream of the production chain, regardless of the time and place of the technological flow. So it also allows total control over the products by individual and group identification. It's like lot or batch, representing a tool for achieving the following objectives. So it to contribute to foodstuff safety, managing risk related to food safety and animal health issues, allowing if necessary withdrawal of non-conforming batches and product recall. So this means to identify outbreak of hazard, to control the outbreak of identify the outbreak and hazard sources, manage safety alerts, withdraw contaminated or dangerous products. So it also helps to provide reliable information to product users, to guarantee products authenticity and to ensure consumers that certain production practices have been followed. This means that traceability can be used to ensure fair practices in trade, protect consumers from fraud, safeguard product producers from unfair competition. It also helps to improve overall product quality process. So traceability is an instrument to identify sources of non-compliance and to enhance product flows and stock management. In order to achieve traceability objectives, the organization must define, in particular, information to be obtained from suppliers of raw materials, auxiliary materials, packaging, etc., which means which will be a means of identification of supplied products which allow the return of an inadequate lot. So traceability also allows pursuing a product's route by following a product from raw materials to marketing, exposure, including its way to the final consumer, and thus completing the flow of food through documented identification and tracking, according to the concept of farm to fork and reversely from plate to source. Regarded as supply chain process, traceability can be conducted in two distinct directions, following forward or downward traceability, which is tracking. This is the ability to locate a product based on a specific criterion at any cost, at any of its location in the supply chain. So this defines the present monitoring step, the current position of any given product. Tracking provides real-time data and current information on the status of and location of a product. Following backward or upward traceability, this is the ability to identify the origin and characteristics of the product based on criteria established uniformly for all points of the distribution chain. So this term defines subsequent visualization of steps taken by recording the tracks. In this approach, traceability becomes the big picture that reflects the past. So what are the advantages? Just give me a second, I'll have a water. Excuse me for that. So traceability, the advantages of traceability. So fraud control, which is very primarily it is for fraud control. So traceability along with regular record audits can prevent fraud on the product's origin, on the species of organisms used to obtain a product, and allows verifying the truthfulness of statements about raw materials or products, facilitating withdrawal. So traceability, it allows the determination of control measures to prevent or reduce an identified hazard in the event that an incident that endangered the safety of the consumers has occurred. So it also helps in promoting the brand So leading to the establishment of trust in, it will help in leading to the establishment of trust in consumer loyalty regarding the goods or services provided by the manufacturers, ensuring the originality of goods and or services for which the mark has been created. It also helps in protection of human safety, which is like it is favored by the traceability system for multiple reasons. Once again, for multiple reasons, exclusion from slaughtering of or animals suspected of infectious or contagious diseases for public consumption, selling meat products and byproducts derived from such animals. So it also helps in it is also advantageous for developing food contaminants monitoring programs. So it helps in it facilitates the identification of key products in a food chain where product sampling is necessary to monitor the concentration of chemical, microbiological, and biological contaminants. So it helps in risk assessment from exposure to food, so which can be easily demonstrated by correlating information from traceability records of the system. So it also helps in animal health protection. So protection of animal health burden is mainly farmers' responsibility, as their interest is to keep animals in a very good state of health in order to avoid economic losses. So poultry and animal disease control, as traceability, it serves to immediately trace the source of the one hand and on the one hand, and on the other hand to check all the links in the processing chain, which excludes transferring animal diseases to humans. So coming to the conclusion. So traceability is a part of a reactive control system for risk management. A traceability system provides answers to the following questions like when, where, which type, how much was produced by who participated in what production phase of the product. It also answers when, where, how much, by whom was it deposited, how long it had been, how long did that product remain in the stock. It also help in knowing what is the delivered quantity, by whom, or from where, and by when it was delivered. So traceability, as it is designed and used in food production practices, is a key element of transparency. The traceability associated with information flow is a physical process which consists in tracing food in space and time. Traceability is a simple concept from cognitive perspective, but it evinces complex features in terms of practical implementation. Traceability is integrated into quality system. Careful planning is essential for ensuring traceability throughout the food chain, taking into consideration the need to create consensus among the food operators and to gain consumers' trust, which involves compliance with the set of standards, introducing the system through the food chain, and establishing effective connections among all the subsystems require both a consistent approach of the food traceability system implemented by each food operator and common understanding of food traceability among all food businesses. I think I have overshot the time, right? Hello?
It's okay, sir. I can conclude, sir. 2-3 minutes only. Exactly, you've taken required time.
Okay, so we in Optal we have this is about traceability. So coming to our use cases, some of the use cases where we have done, we have implemented this track and trace for seed industry, one of the global seed producing companies. So where from the farm, from the harvested seeds harvested till the farmer, till it reaches the farm. So the entire operations is being tracked and traced using Optal solutions. So it's a combination of both software and hardware, where we have different lines for serialization and aggregation of all the SKUs. So at any point of given time, if a farmer will be able to just scan the QR code and he can view the flow of that particular seed all through the supply chain. So that is one major what we have done. We have also done it for coffee and cocoa, So then we have recently we have done it for fisheries, where the individual trawlers will be going in the high seas, and they will be capturing the produce, and they bring it to the cooperatives, where from there it goes to the processing center. It gets processed and then reaches the retailer, and finally to the end customer. So the customer will be able to track it all the way. And also we are applying we are working on implementing a DNA kind of thing, a traceability kind of thing for fisheries especially. So to ascertain that whatever the fish meat the consumer has received, it is of that particular species. So otherwise there is always chances of mix-ups and frauds happening. So to avoid that, we are to overcome that, we are providing that we are working upon that particular traceability aspect. And we are also into we have provided this traceability for even agrochemicals like pesticides. So once it reaches the hands of a farmer, he will be able to trace it back all the way to the production. And of course, if the customer wants to give away further details about the composition and all, they can still do it. But as such, we have stopped it up till the production facility level. So this is the entire traceability what we have done. So it is to be frank with you, traceability is a fully loaded word. So people think that it is very simple, we can just like that provide traceability. It's not so. It is very, very complex solution. It involves a lot of stakeholders, and the flow of data should be accurate, and all the stakeholders involved must be having the same kind of participatory this thing, and they should be able to key in all the required data on in time, so that you will be able to visualize the entire supply chain on almost real time. So this is what we have done. And of course, this traceability solution should be able to speak to other ERP solutions like SAP and other warehouse management solutions, all the stuff. And it also, like, we have provided one solution where even the consumer, the retailer or the distributor sitting in Canada will be able to know, like, when the ship is arriving at his the harbor, nearest harbor, so that he can plan his logistics. Otherwise, if it gets delayed or for some reason something happens, so this logistic expenses will be a burden for all this distributors. So all this can be managed using a proper traceability tool. So as I said, it is very, very complex. People say that traceability we can just like that give. No. So you need a very robust system which can be both address both upstream traceability as well as downstream traceability in relation, and also be able to speak with other softwares. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
So any questions,
Thank
you
you.
please you
Sure,
can
sir.
ask.
Thank you. Thank you very much for covering a lot of information related to industry, how the traceability works, what are the trends at industry level as well as at this level, sir. So we'll be starting with question and answer session now. There is one question for Anand sir to start with. So for
One small
organic, yes, sir.
one
Please, sir.
small
Please, sir.
thing. Can you please all come on video? So we'll take a sort of this thing.
So one small thing is here. This is being WebEx events.
Okay.
Typically, WebEx events only panelists can switch on videos. That's
Oh,
the
okay,
only
okay,
thing.
okay.
So, however, we have a recorded video, sir. With that from YouTube also it is live. We can share it
Okay.
with you the link. Uh, Thank you, sir.
Oh, no issues,
Yeah.
no issues.
Okay. So there is a question on there is a one debate, especially for organic. So is it about implementation cost, or it is about belief in the customer? Is it about a traceability, or is it about somebody believing that you were following organic? Because in the market there is a problem. A lot of people, whenever we go that, how can I know that this is organic? How would I believe that every time this is organic? So can you please address this, sir, Anand, sir?
Sure, sir. Sorry, because of the internet speed, I have switched off my video. Hope you can hear
It's
me.
okay, sir.
So it's a combination of more than one, sir. So for example, first of all, awareness was not just lacking among the farmer community, lack of awareness in the consumer community. That is the biggest challenge for an organic farmer. As an organic farmer, we suffer day in and out, we suffer this challenge that people think that they know organic, and nowadays, with whatever the minimal understanding that the information is floating around, especially with the social media, people started assuming the meaning of organic. And nowadays, organic meaning is just like any other brand. That is the biggest challenge. People don't really understand what exactly it means organic. Therefore, mushrooming of parallel systems, something like not really organic as per my conviction. They claim to be organic. For example, I mean, sorry for using this technology name, but I mean, I may be excused for this. Hydroponics. Hydroponics also claims to be organic, and that is not really true, right? Because in hydroponics, you use all the chemical supplements from outside, okay? And organic definitely only means anything from soil in organic manner. Okay, so that addresses the awareness part. This lack of awareness is there both on the farmer side. Farmer doesn't know. Farmers stopped believing that this is what I feel or I face on a day in, day out during my farmer training. The farmers, it is very difficult to engage a farmer to take up organic because they stopped believing that without urea, without DAP, can a plant grow? Plants, they think that plants or the crop doesn't grow without external chemical supplements. This is on the farmer side. On the consumer side, they don't even understand. So the reach of consumer, for example, I live in a very, highly educated community with almost like 3,000 families living together. But we could hardly reach about a tenth of them, simply because most people don't know what organic is. And so awareness is the main challenge. This has a trickling problem on the organic side. Because of the lack of awareness, there is a very small footprint, like very small number of consumers consume. Therefore, the cost of unit of production will be extremely high compared to conventional produce. For example, a logistics from that I handle from my farm to my store, right? It takes anywhere between 15 to 22 rupees per kg to carry anything from my farm to my store. My own farm, my own store, but it takes 22 rupees. Nowadays, it is more than that. Okay, with such a high diesel pricing, right? So, and the same vehicle can carry, 2 tons, but we take only about 200 kgs, right? So if I take it 2 tons, then the cost of taking it to the consumer is just about 2 rupees per kg. This happens literally with every organic farmer. Basically low intake because of the consumer awareness, that leads to exceeding costs plus the middleman, and this leads to an exponential cost where almost anybody feels that, oh, it's impossible. Organic is too expensive. It is a rich man food. Okay, now this is the primary driver that is causing the low intake. So it's both on the consumer side as well as on the producer side. So to answer that, it is not just the main challenge is lack of awareness, cost. These are the two main things that if we can address. Okay, lack of awareness is more of a social thing that's when we can take up on a social media, but if a decent logistics support can be established, right, we probably can reduce the cost. If we can introduce a decent shelf facilities like cold storage. I'm again my experience with fruits and vegetables, so I'm more focused on it, but this applies to literally everybody. This applies even to rice. For example, if I have to buy rice in Adilabad, let's say, then the transportation cost from the farmer to my home will be almost like 25 rupees per kg for a rice bag. 25 rupees per kg, let's say it takes about 600 rupees or 700 rupees to carry a bag apart from the cost. So if my initial cost is, let's say, 70 rupees, by the time it reaches my home, it is almost like 95 rupees. So this cost is unaffordable to many, and there is no rule that only rich should buy organic. So organic, the solution to this is making organic mainstream. Okay, so it has to be a mass consumption. Therefore, more people buy. If more people buy, logistics costs come down, the labor cost comes down, and then the unit of production comes down, and the perishability problems can also be addressed much more effectively. Like, just instead of cleaning, and if I set up a plant to clean a 200 kg vegetable, then I'll end up spending about 4 lakhs. But I can also set up the same unit to clean and pack 1 ton per hour just by adding another 2 lakhs. Right? So that's where it is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for a detailed answer. The question for Yatish, sir. So
Yep.
traceability is all about when agri-graduate agriculture background looks like a little complex thing to understand with the digitization, a lot of technology as well as the product is involved. So what do you think the kind of opportunities a agriculture graduate or agri startup would have in traceability, sir?
See, one thing is we only provide software solutions, number one. Number two, yes, there is a lot of opportunity as far as agri grads are concerned, in especially food industry, food and what we call it as agri industry. So in fact, in my previous organization, we had a couple of people who were from Manage. So definitely it will be there. So only thing is you have to understand the technology, and once it comes to software, it will be more of sales. So the requirement will be from the sales front. It will not be for operations or other thing. For operations, when it comes to traceability, so there are a lot of organizations who are employing grads for as in the for their operations, as well as their field management, all those things, farmer management, all those stuff. So there they can apply it, and they can get a better job. For example, you have Wellspun, you have lot many companies who are working on cotton and other. I can give a lot of names on that. So even food industry, food processing industries, all corporates you have second line MNCs who are working who are having operations in India. So they all look forward for grads, especially agri grads, and Manage being one of the prestigious, they should be able to get good this thing. But when it comes to my organization, yes, we need agri grads, but it will be purely for sales. If they have got inclination towards sales, fantastic. I'll be happy to refer them to my organization. So that is always
Thank you,
there.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. One more question for you, sir, on traceability.
Yes.
How can this traceability impact the carbon footprint in tracking of agri products, sir?
See, for example, in fact, agri is one of the major contributors for GHG gases. So a lot of work is being is happening. For example, we have done it for carbon footprint in coffee. So right from the farm till it goes to the cup. So the entire supply chain is mapped, and then we will assess what are all the contributors of different this carbon to the carbon footprint by individual. I mean all the stakeholders, and then arrive at a final figure, and then we will provide the assessment of the entire value chain of that particular commodity. So this can be applicable for cocoa. We can apply it for cocoa because coffee and cocoa are more or less similar. Likewise for all the other commodities. So we can as I was telling you, so we have done it for coffee. So we'll now take up for next food products also.
Thank you very much, sir. So there are a couple of questions which are not directly relevant. Immediately we can write to us. We have given our mail IDs. Any more further questions you have also, you can write our speakers. We'll take one more question directly from our attendees and we'll close it up, sir. Umesh Patle, we can unmute Gina. Umesh, can you hear us? Mr. Umesh, can you hear us? We'll go to Abhishek Patel. Mr. Abhishek Patel, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Please, sir, please. You can ask the
नमस्कार सर,
question.
मैं अभिषेक पटेल फ्रॉम मध्य प्रदेश। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है सर कि जो आपने बताया हमें कि ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट में गवर्नमेंट की ग्रांट्स क्या हैं, कुछ फंडिंग के लिए ग्रांट्स क्या है, जैसे स्टार्टअप शुरू करते हैं, जैसे कि मेज मिलेट्स ईयर है 2023 मिलेट्स में यदि हम साइलेज मेकिंग का करते हैं स्टार्टअप में, उसमें फंडिंग के पैटर्न क्या है, ग्रांटी फंड या सब्सिडाइज फंड क्या है इसमें, ये क्वेश्चन है मेरा।
Yes, sir.
Shall I take it? Okay.
Sir, please,
See,
sir.
there
Please, sir.
there are if you go to agricultural department of government of Madhya Pradesh, you will have this organic cell. So you have to contact them and they will be able to provide the details. Okay. So individual crop wise and what are the list of programs they are carrying out for this season. All the details will be available with those people. So they are the one who will be able to help you out. I think समझ में नहीं
Please,
आया,
sir.
हिंदी में बात करना है।
सर होगा सर, हमारा स्टार्टअप का है वो हम बात करेंगे सर, उसके पहले भी we spoke to him last week also. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for taking your time for both the speakers here today. So anybody missing any questions, I request you kindly write to us. We have given both the validities also. Yes, sir. Please.
Next, I would like to also take up this carbon footprint in a more broader perspective. So, I mean, whenever you want to have
Sure,
one more
sir.
session, please include that carbon footprint in agriculture. Maybe I will myself and one of my colleagues who is handling from France. So he will also be able to join. So, but slightly you can push the time in relation to
Sure, sir.
maybe around
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
12 to 1 or 1 to 2, something like that.
Definitely,
So that
sir.
he will also be able to present our carbon footprint thing.
We'll come out with this, sir. We'll come out with it.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for both the speakers and all our attendees here today. We'll be looking forward to your presence in our next webinar. Thank you very much, sir. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.